So for a few days, I have been trying to make this video under 3 minutes and it's not working out because this is something that every word of it is probably going to be helpful for a survivor. So I'll make it as long as I need it to be. And if any of you are survivors, you can go to YouTube and watch it. I'm not that comfortable with YouTube, to be honest, because I've never done it. And in YouTube, I do not have the capacity to block certain people and then do it. But that being said, it's okay. It's all right. What is going to happen anyway? So here it goes. You think that when you tell your story, you don't have enough proof and people are going to not believe you. Now, I just want to break it for you. That is not going to happen. Oh, I mean, that is going to happen, but there are ways to counter it. So first of all is proof is always there in some shape or form. Proof can be in the form of you confiding even partially in a friend of yours. At this moment, it may feel that that is not enough proof because the friend is not in touch with you anymore, or it was not enough. Like you would have shown some knowledge about sexual things, but you would not have exactly said if sexual abuse was going on through a sibling or a cousin, or in your case, if it is anybody else. But the thing is, when my People of India story got released, soon after, a friend of mine contacted me who was in school at that time, and I was about to post a video regarding how I had confided in her partially, but I had then lost her. I did not know where she was. And through the People of India story, she contacted me. So the thing is, you don't know what kind of avenues will open for you to prove the abuse. Apart from her, there were many other people who I had partially confided in. I had told someone in KG2 a little, then I had told someone in class 4 a little. I had definitely told someone almost all of it in class 7 or 8. Then I told Raktim everything in class 10. A lot of people in my college knew about it. I had told one or two neighbors about it. Now I did not know how bad it was, how horrible the abuse was. So I would say something very partially. My brother is touching me and I don't like it. That is what I had told my friend when I was in 7th or 8th standard. And she was like, what do you mean touching? And I just said that touches here and there, and it gets very uncomfortable. But the point is, you would have told someone a little bit here and there. If you hadn't, that is also fine. If you hadn't, if my grooming was perhaps a lot better, I wouldn't have told anyone either. And if whatever was happening to me till class 4 was continuing till class 8, I would have held so much internalized shame and guilt, I probably wouldn't have said anyone. Because I tried to stop it after class 4 and what he was doing was fully non-consensual. I was screaming and crying. So a part of me was probably realizing that whatever was happening was not okay. But when it comes to telling your story, you start it small. It's okay. You would have faced a lot of threat from your friends and from your family especially. Nobody would believe you. We will tell people you are jealous of the person, or we will tell people this is all about finances and property, or we will tell people you are mentally ill. These are the three things they will say to counter you. First is, like, after you tell your story. Before you tell your story, they will tell you that this is in the past. Like my mother said, this is in the past, you have an excellent life now. I don't have an excellent life now. The amount of therapy, medications, and the amount of symptoms I hold on to, how it affects my workplace, my interpersonal relationships, my sleep at night, this is not called having the best life out there. Yes, my life didn't turn out to be as horrible as my mother's, but that is not luck. That is also because I chose things intentionally that were not like her. I chose to compromise on certain things to ensure that my life doesn't turn out to be like her. So the thing what I'm trying to say is, you will find avenues to prove your story, but you have to start, whether it is small or big. I'll just give you examples. How I can establish a timeline to my story would be the first part, and the second part would be how I can establish that all of these things happened. Now, even after establishing, my parents, what defense do they have if somebody sees the People of India story and they go to her and ask that, what, these things were happening in your family? The only option she has, considering the kind of person she is to say, listen, my daughter is mentally ill. Don't listen to her. She is so good in academics. We went to so many vacations. We have so many good pictures from 2023. Do you believe this is happening? That is all she can say. She cannot really say that, yes, I did it, and you know what, come kill me. She can't. So defense will always come. So I'll go about it in two parts. The first part would be, how did I establish a timeline, and use it as an example to know how to establish your timeline. And the second thing is, how to find out evidence of what happened to you. So first thing is that, listen, I started school when I was a little before 4 years old. And by the time I went to school, immediately after going to school, there was an incident where I went and told another girl that, we can open your pants and do this and this. So how did I know it? It has to have happened before that. This is a proof. Now my memory also says by the time I went to school, I went to a different school for 2 months or so. Then I went to my actual school, Nivedita. So in this 2 months wala school, one day my father forgot to put my underpants on, and I went with just the skirt. And I remember sitting in that school, we used to sit on floor. I remember when I was sitting on floor in that school, I thought that, okay, I'm not wearing underpants. That means now this is going to happen to me. But a few minutes later, my father came in and he had brought an underpant. He put it on me, and so I felt safe. Because I remember this incident, and my father also remembers this incident, that I had forgotten to wear pants. This was repeatedly discussed later in time in my home. Because I remember this, now I know it had to have started at 3. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had those feelings. Now, this is memories. And these memories are extremely important because they will keep on gaslighting you. When you start saying it, I distinctly remember my brother's first wife. We had an altercation I was having an altercation with my brother, and the first wife said, "What are you saying? At 13-year-old, nobody doesn't, boy doesn't even have an erection. How can he do these things to you?" No, I got completely gaslit. I was like, am I thinking wrong? But I have these timelines as evidence. If I didn't have these timelines, I would have probably thought that it started at 5 or 6. And look, yesterday a news came that a 13-year-old boy went and raped a neighbor kid who was around 11 months old and almost killed the girl, or probably already killed the girl. So sometimes when they gaslight us, it feels that whatever they are saying is right. But in reality, just take cognizance of your memories, and they will prove to be very vital. I'll just explain how. Now, how do I know? Okay, now that we established that it started at 3. How do I know it was continuing till class 4? So the thing is, first of all, Titanic, the movie got released in 1997. And I remember our whole family went to watch Titanic in the hall. I was a little kid, so I did not watch Titanic fully. At the time of Titanic, I would be around 4 years old. But I remember 2-3 days later, when my sibling and I were at home, my sibling asked me, "Do you remember how the Titanic girl was making sounds? You have to do these sounds." And I did not watch the movie, and I felt very guilty. My sibling was very upset. So now one more timeline is established because I remember this distinctly. Now coming to 4th standard. It was in 4th standard that I got Bicolai, and I confided in a friend of mine, A, and I told her that, "Listen, I am very scared because I am having pain there." And I internally thought that this was happening because of what was going on between my sibling and me, and now the doctor will find out. And she was the one who told me that, "Listen, nothing like that. Why are you scared?" So I told her a little bit and parts of it. But she told me, "Listen, I also had Bicolai. All you have to do is drink water." I started to drink water because I used to not drink water at all. I had, these are very common symptoms as well. Withholding your poop, not drinking enough water, not going to washroom. All of these things are symptoms too. But letting that aside, so I told this friend that, "Listen," this friend actually went and told her, there was a maid in her family. She used to call her Didi. Her mother and the maid used to live together. Her father used to live outside. So she actually told that Didi, and she told me, and I got terrified that her Didi will tell the mother will come and tell school, and the school will then contact my mother. Thankfully, the Didi did not tell. But from People of India story, I had lost this girl. From People of India story, I just found this girl randomly. She came to my profile and I talked to her. So the thing is, you don't know what kind of avenues for proof are going to open up. And it doesn't matter whether you drag these people to court. I intentionally tell these people, "Listen, do not leave a comment in my public profile," because my mother and my brother have been trying for eternity to find these exact people who I had confided in, then hunt them down and wear them down so that they do not become my witness. That is what they had told my neighbors. The entire neighborhood, they had told it. But a few people disagreed, and they contacted me and said that, "Listen, your mother is calling us at home and saying that you are insane and all of this." But we remember parts of it. We remember what happened. So that is a kind of a comfort, and I am truly grateful to these neighbors who actually told me what was going on. Now, that aside, I just told you how I know that it was continuing till class 4th. Now in class 4th, after I talked to this girl A and after the Bicola incident, I got so scared that I stopped staying with him completely. And then I started to live with neighbors for some time during the day. And till class 4, sometimes my mother would take me to her office as well. So there were days when I was safe. It was after class 4 that my safety became zero, because I was constantly, like, he was having constant access to me. Now I would not repeat what I have already said on Instagram. I'm hoping I would upload this on YouTube. So how do I know that it continued till the time I'm saying it continued? So the thing is, in my class 10th, right after my 10th board exam, because my sibling was working in Pune at that time for around 2 years. So right after my 10th board exam, me and my parents, we went to visit him in his Pune flat. And I remember in that Pune flat, nothing happened to me. He did not touch me once. So I can, my memory doesn't say that in that Pune flat I was running from here and there. Because look, by then it was already also established that I was going to be excellent in academics. And some part of him was probably realizing that this is a very risky time to get into something like this. My mother was expecting newspapers to come and interview me and all of that. Of course, at that year, the ranking system was stopped in West Bengal board. So no newspaper came. One small newspaper had put a story of mine, but nothing major. So the thing is, he stopped. And also because he had 2 steady girlfriends at that time, he was getting a lot of fulfillment, and he had started to create that social personality where he was this completely different person. So all that aside, I know that at class 10th it had to stop. That is why he didn't do me anything in that flat right after my class 10th. Now how do I know it did not stop at class 8? Now the thing is, after my class 8, when he went to get a job in Pune, he already had a girlfriend during his college time. He was maintaining that relationship. But in Pune, he also got involved with another girl who he was working with. And this girl, he came to visit my brother in our home, in my hometown, during my class 9th or 10th. At some time during my class 9th or 10th, I think it was around 10th. Because during my class 9, the relationship had just started. And when that girl came, the day that girl came, that day, instead of my parents locking me from outside, my parents actually told me that, you know what, we will not lock you from outside. What they used to do is they used to lock the door very stealthily and run away to office before my sibling can snatch the key from them. Because my sibling was very physically powerful and violent. So that day my parents did not lock me from outside, and they told me, listen, you lock the door from inside, so that when this girlfriend of my brother, let us call her T comes, you can just open the door and come outside and show that everything is fine. That way you are protected till T comes, and when T comes, he is not going to do anything to you. And by the time T leaves, my parents would have come back from office. So because I remember this setup, I know for a fact that it was happening till class 10. Now that is how you establish timeline. And even if your situation is not same as mine, even if you have not told anybody, even then there would be symptoms. There would be symptoms of horrible stomach pain. I used to have this very rampantly. Much later I realized that these were symptoms of sexual abuse and repressing all of it inside me. I used to have extreme pain in the leg, calf area, and the pain used to be so horrible they had to take me to CMC and get it checked over and over. So there would be a lot of this kind of symptoms. Also, when you first talking about it, your abuser, depending on at what stage of life you talk about it, your abuser is not going to initially completely deny it. The first defense that will come from them is, you were also enjoying it. If you can keep a proof of it, that itself is a huge proof that this has happened. Then he would go on to, how did my sibling start? Initially he said he did not do that much. He denied what he did to me till class 4th and just accepted what he did from 5th to 10th, the groping, because that is what my parents had already seen. A lot of neighbors had already heard. So those were the parts that he initially agreed to. But by the time he got married and his first wife taught him that, listen, do not accept anything because someday this can go into a legal situation. So they started to say that he did not do anything and he would file a defamation case against me. And I was just in college and I actually believed it. Turns out he would not, because when he files a defamation case and I go ahead and prove what he did to me, he has a lot to lose. He will lose his entire life. So there is zero chance that he will come after me with the defamation case. But for 4-5 years, despite being intelligent, despite being academically accomplished, I was actually so scared of a defamation case that I started writing on Quora. And that is where I say that anytime these people come and create huge problems in your life, they defend themselves and make your life miserable. even then it is worth it, because when they do it, a new door opens up where you find new ways and avenues of proving it. To give you an example, if my sibling had not talked about defamation case, I would have not started writing on Coda. If I had not started writing on Coda, by now I would have forgotten a lot of things, because when I started writing, the abuse had just stopped 3-4 years or 5 years, and I had very fresh memory of what was going on. But then in the last 15 years, considering how much of gaslighting I faced, how much of denial I faced, if I had not written on Quora, I would have probably forgotten bits and parts of it. Because I started writing, I had the memory refreshed. And then coming to BTech second year, when my mother, she says, in order to save my siblings' marriage, she stopped my college fees and said, in my third semester, she stopped my government college fees, it was not even that much, and said that you have to write to your sibling that nothing ever happened, and you have to write to his wife as well. That is when the wife will stay with him. Of course, his first marriage broke, that's a different thing. But I waited for a month. I constantly tried to do some odd jobs, but this kind of abuse also makes you physically very weak. I was very anemic. I used to, like, it was very difficult for me physically. I was on the psychiatric pills. Going to the classes itself was very, very difficult, and I was also getting massively bullied in college. So I did not have support from anywhere other than Raktim, who was in a different college. So what I did was, when they stopped my college fees, I wrote to him after struggling for a month. I did end up writing to them that, okay, the abuse did not happen, I am wrong, I am sorry, and the family became one happy and whole family again. But you know what happened? Because they forced me to write, I now knew that they are going to deny having done anything. That is where I started to write on Quora, and the recording calls, the concept of recording calls came to me at that point. But at that time, technology was not that advanced. I could not record calls during 2011 to 15. I think I have one recording from my sibling saying তোর সঙ্গে যা করেছি বেশ করেছি আবার করব, which loosely means whatever I have done to you, I will do it again, and I have zero regrets. Only this line. He doesn't mention what he has done. But then by 2015, when I realized that the risk of them denying everything was very strong, that is when I started to record the calls. And I was paranoid. I was recording every call. I was not just recording calls where the sexual abuse was being discussed. I was recording every call possible, and I was giving them to my boyfriend to put them in a Google Drive. Much later, we put them in a hard drive, and now we have multiple backups of those. Now, while I thought that the sexual abuse part of the recordings would come in handy sometime later if he denies it, I never thought I would expose those recordings. I never thought my life would come to a point where I had to expose those recordings. But I did them anyway. But do you know what else I recorded? I also recorded that my sibling was repressing my parents financially, that my sibling was beating my parents financially, or the fact that how good-natured I was, how much I was doing for the family. I thought these were not necessary to record at that time because these were given. Who would have known that in 2023, when I talked about what my sibling did to me openly, who would have known that my parents would decline all of it, and my parents would say that, you know what, you were also beating us, you were also taking money from us. And that is when these extra recordings, which I had kept as paranoia, came in handy. I told them that, listen, you cannot claim these things, I have already recorded this. So you don't know what kind of things are going to help you later in life. Or the fact that from 2011 I have been going to therapy. These things actually are a big proof of what has happened to you. Now, I never wanted to tell this open on social media because at some point my sibling is going to see this video, and I have already seen chats between him and my mother where he says that, listen, her proofs are her childhood friends, her this, let us counter this one after another. And there was the bedroom that I had shown on Instagram. There, my sibling had once locked me and my mother. Like, actually, we locked ourselves because my sibling was beating my mother from inside, and my sibling got so angry that he put that bedroom door on fire. And eventually one of my jethu, my uncles, came in, and because my uncle came in, the fire was quickly stopped so that my uncle doesn't see what is going on. Now the door continued to have that fire mark. In 2023, over a chat, my sibling forced my parents to change that door as a means to withhold evidence. So you understand that anything you do, this becomes proof. Now, I would also say something else. Be very, very consistent of the timeline of your memories. Even if you think today that your memories mean nothing, they can always say you are imagining things and all of that. But trust me, new avenues open up to prove that your memories are right. Do not let them gaslight you. If the abuse has stopped some 6, 7, 8 years ago and you have still not talked about it, trust me, you are going to forget it at some point. The biggest favor you can do to yourself is please write it down somewhere. Even if it's an online Google blog, write it there. Even if you do not share it to anyone, write it there. Establish a timeline, because someday you are going to need it. I did not know any of this. I did not know how much of the abuse they will completely deny. I did not know I would ever need the call records. And all of these things together finally culminated into a situation where I finally am able to come with my face and do it. I had never imagined I would do it. This is a betrayal to my family. The news and media can reach my parents. My parents can harass me and my husband even more than what they have already harassed. There would be suicide threats. There would be tons of things. Unless you have proof, you will start to gaslight yourself. So now that I have told you how to establish a timeline, I will also tell you what are the 3 common defenses that your parents and your sibling or whoever has abused you are going to have. The first common thing is jealousy. They will say that you are jealous of where your perpetrator is placed in life right now. Now, unlike me, for a lot of you, the abuse has also set you back academically. I channelized it into education because I could. It is not something to flex. Some people channel it to academics. Some people channel it to having multiple relationships. You don't know where the abuse is going to take you. I don't know what would have happened if it was not Raktim. If my first boyfriend was abusive, if I would have 5 more boyfriends and try to find love from there, I don't know. So none of these are something to be judgmental about. But if your life is not at a better situation than your perpetrators, which in often case isn't, from what you message me, a lot of people have done what I have done academically, but a lot of you actually got repressed academically. In that case, they are going to tell you that you are jealous. Now, this is a very common thing. You cannot prove that you are not jealous. Even in my case, they tried to tell I am jealous, and I had to establish that, look, I was better in academics from him by far and by miles. And the fact that he is in US and I am not is by choice. I chose to stay in India to help you guys. So it's not like I am jealous of him. It's not possible. And people did not believe it, thankfully. So jealousy would be the first thing. I would suggest that please ignore it. And it is not jealousy. Even if you are angry with where your perpetrator is compared to you in life, it is not jealousy to be angry that your perpetrator is having the best life and you are having it miserable. It is a very normal, natural response. These kind of parents and these kind of families shame us for having the most logical response. We can be as good as God. I don't believe in God, that's a different thing. But we can be as good as what God claims himself or herself to be, and these people will still find faults in you because they cannot decline what they did. So they do character assassination for you. So this is a very common thing. Do not let it, do not let it make you feel that your story will not be believed. So jealousy is the first thing. The second thing would be finances. They will either threaten you to cut you off from the family finances, or they will say that you wanted money. Now look, this has already happened to me. They brought in financial allegations against me at a time when I had not only not taken anything from them, but also the sibling had taken 1 crore as a compensation for me talking about it. Yes, in my family, the victim wasn't compensated, the rapists were compensated. At that time, when there was no financial transactions apart from me giving my parents a lot of money and taking care of their expenses despite them being financially independent, during that time my parents brought in financial allegations and I was heartbroken. I brought in account statements, I confronted them, I started to record all the confrontations where they actually agreed that no, I have not taken any money. But 1 year later, and I also told them that I do not need any money. You give everything to him, but do not bring in this allegation. Do not discount my story. 1 year later, I realized no matter what I did, they are going to discredit it. But the money that I was leaving, the family property that I was on record claiming that I do not want it, they are going to use it to give my sibling everything. And that is the whole point. My sibling was always ferociously money-minded. He had beaten up my parents to the point of almost hospitalizing them. My father's rib cage was broken. My mother had bruises all over her body almost every single day. When I say my sibling beat my parents, it is not a slap. It is huge, huge beating. So that guy did it for money, for gifts, for expensive things. So letting that guy now take the whole of the family money and property was an injustice to myself. So that is when, after 1 year after all this financial nonsense, I went ahead and told them that, listen, I want whatever is my share. Even if I don't need it, I want it. And I did get a little bit of it, and they claimed that they will do 50-50 division if I stay silent about it. Now I'm not staying silent, so I don't know what kind of division is going to happen. But if the day comes where I have to fight for my share of the property, I probably will. I'm absolutely okay with my parents using the money to live their best lives. But if they keep on saving and giving it to my sibling, I have a huge problem with it. He has already taken more than 50% of the family money. Even before my parents have secured their finances. They are retired. They are on pension. My sibling took it anyway, despite being in abroad for this many years. So coming to finances, taking money from them or not taking money from them doesn't discount your story. So whatever is your legitimate right, you take it. Don't be like me. Don't be stupid. And sorry for calling myself stupid. It's a very natural response for us to become the best girls possible and hoping that our parents will acknowledge us. But listen, even if you were not best, even if you were bad, even if you were normal and had needs and demands, you still deserved protection. The abuse still happened. You don't have to be the epitome of morality to prove that the abuse did not happen, or the fact that to prove that the abuse did happen. So that is the second thing. And the third thing they will say is, you are mentally ill. Now that happens to all of us. They push us to a situation where we take therapy and medicines and we have this huge anger outburst and all of this. Then they record these things and say that you are mentally ill. Now this happens to all of us. Please don't pay a lot of heed to it. Please start telling your story, because the biggest form of healing is reclaiming your voice. Sexual abuse is a abuse of power. It's an abuse of control. The biggest thing, justice you can do to yourself, is to reclaim your voice. Today you are this scared, tomorrow you will be less scared, and gradually you will see where courage takes you. I had no idea that the 2025 Samanvita would have this kind of courage. So that would be my last pointer regarding the 3 ways they can discount your story or discredit your story. Of course, they would also say, look, there are smiling pictures and happy vacations and wedding pictures. Now these are very stupid. A lot of people now know that these families do not go around making a sad face all across the world. The abuse happens and the family holds a very happy face. So that part is already established. So do not worry about their gaslighting. I know it's very painful. It happened to me for 10-15 years, but it is not going to mean anything. And I want to address one last thing. A lot of you tell me that you do not want to talk about it because you do not want to hurt your parents. Now tell me, why would I did the same thing. First disclaimer, I did it for a long time. I did not want to hurt my parents. If you look at my Quora answers, the ones which were written around 2014-15, during those time, or even 2012 if I had started, you would see that I kept on saying that, my parents did not have a choice. I do not want to hurt them. So as a morality and allegiance to them, I am not going to reveal who is my abuser. So I have gone through these exact same things. But with this many years of therapy and talking about it in whatever shape or form I could, I realized that this was not about not hurting my parents. This was about the fact that we, the abused children, want a good relationship with our parents so much. We have struggled so much and tolerated so much of shit to just have that parental connection, to have that one family connection. Because let's be honest, our outside life is not that great either. While my boyfriend was excellent, but the outside world, my college situation was horrible, and we need something to hold on to. So we hold on to our family, and because we want to hold on to our family, we don't want to look through them. We know for a fact that we will, if we talk about it, we will see a side of our parents that we do not want to see. We intentionally blind ourselves to how cruel and how dangerous our parents can be, and we change the narrative in our mind that, they could not have helped me, they could not have done something. But now that they have acknowledged behind the closed doors that it was wrong, that is enough for me. Now I'll be able to build that parental connection. You know for a fact that if you do anything beyond it, if you ask your parents to take a stand, if you ask your parents that please don't let my abuser come to our home or attend my wedding or attend our family function, if you tell even this much, your parents are not going to listen to you, and you will be heartbroken. You will be so hurt that you will lose whatever parental connection you have created so far. And the more number of years you do it, the more you keep thinking that, okay, I have tolerated this many years to build a relationship with my parents where we now talk every day, or we go to a movie, or smile together, or go to a restaurant. I don't want to let it go if I say demand more from them. That is what happened to me. I asked my parents, at least please don't talk about him in my office. Please don't take phone calls, video calls from him in my dining room. Please take a stand. Please don't talk to him at all. If you cannot confront him, I'm not asking you to cut him off. But at least can you stop communication with him? Can you ostracize him so that he knows that you do not stand by him? In every of these cases, they said no. But they said to me behind closed doors that, yeah, we know it was not that bad. But when I pushed further, when I said that no, I demand some form of justice or accountability, or I talked about it in front of his wife, that is when my parents started to completely deny anything ever happened. And all of those apologies behind the closed door was completely gone. And they were ferocious. And today my mother went on to actively harm and sabotage me, give my sibling counter proof, tell my sibling on record that, my daughter is insane and she is saying these things that never happened. I know you never did anything. She is doing these things to my sibling as a way to give him counter proof, so that when I bring out my call records, he can bring in the counter call records. Of course, this will not establish anything, because in every family, the parent is doing the exact same thing. But what I'm trying to say is that till 2023, I knew if I ever talked about it, my mother is going to do it. But I was so adamant that I want that parental connection, that mother bond. And I wanted to serve my mother, and I wanted to feel good that I could do something for my mother despite how horrible her life was. Because I wanted all of it, I was intentionally blinding myself. I was constantly moving my boundaries further behind. Okay, you want to talk to him from dining room? Can you at least do it when I don't listen? Or can you at least turn the video camera to yourself so that I don't see it? So I was still going around and buying stuff for my sibling, not from my money. My parents were paying for it. But when I was buying t-shirts for my husband, my mother was buying the same t-shirt for my sibling and then parceling it and sending it to US. A lot of times my husband would go and do these parcels from post office. So these things were triggers for us, but we were doing those anyway, even in 2023, 24, because I knew if I said no, I will see a side of my mother that I didn't want to see. This is what is happening to you people too. Because our external lives are so miserable, because we still need our parents, because no matter what privileged people claim that why didn't you leave your parents and be alone, stay in a mess, even being alone is better than being with your parents. They don't realize how difficult it is to be alone after all that abuse in a world that is full of this kind of people. So we want that connection. It is normal to want to have that family connection, and why you are not telling is it probably not hurt your parents. It's probably to intentionally blind yourself, and I am going to tell you it is not going to work. I am repeating myself, I know, because I am not an influencer, I am not a content creator, I am just sharing my journey. I do not know how to do it better, and I do not want to get overly conscious and start editing each and every part and just say what looks fancy, because that way the entire essence is lost. I am not doing it for fame. I am just doing it so that a few people who listens to it finds the courage to do what I have done and reclaim their lives. So it's okay if not a lot of people watches this.